Hey, welcome back. This is Ted, the Talking Stamp Collector, and I just wanted to make a quick follow-up on my last episode, number 17. It ran a little bit long, and I really covered too much stuff in there, and the Norway Kiloware really ended up getting a bit of the short shrift. I didn't give good, clear pictures of the stamps, and it just wasn't satisfying to me, and I apologize for that. So after the episode, I soaked all the stamps and got them all sorted, and I got them loaded onto stock sheets and scanned them, and I want to show you those now so you have a better idea of what came in that Kiloware. So here's what they look like all together. I ended up with 225 of the regular and commemorative stamps and 43 post horns for a total of 268. During the soaking process, I lost about 20-25 stamps due to either finding faults that were not readily apparent, or else I damaged them during the soaking process. So there's the overview. Taking a closer look, we find the earliest stamps were the two heraldic lion there from 1937. Those are Scott catalog number 171, and those had a catalog value of 50 cents each. And as I mentioned in the previous video, almost all of these had just minimal catalog value, and even the 50-cent value of these is minimal because they can be found for 10 cents on HipStamp. On the next slide, we have some more small definitives. And the way I have these laid out is, take for example the line of green stamps. I'll show the one stamp to show the whole stamp itself, and then put the multiples off to the right of it overlapping. So that green stamp, it had 10 copies altogether of that one. So then going on to the next slide, the first stamp is the highest catalog value stamp at $1. That celebrated King Olaf's 85th birthday, and that had a catalog value of $1, but there again, it can be easily found for 10 cents on HipStamp. Over to the right, you see more engraved royalty. That's King Harold from 1993. And then on the lower row, some wildflower definitives. Those are from 1998, 1997. And the next slide, the top row, shows some Norwegian inventions. The first one that looks like a popsicle is actually a cheese slicer. And then there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 copies of the Norwegian paperclip and an aerosol spray can. And then below that, there are a series of fish stamps. First one was salmon. To the right is cod. Below that is mackerel and herring. Then in the next slide, we run into a series of roses that went on for a while. The first one, the pink and the yellow, is from 2001, Scott catalog number 1272. On the second row, you have the red and white single petal roses. Had 13 copies of that one. Looking over at the next slide, these pink roses, there were 19 of those. Below that, there's a hand-carved bird-shaped vessel, bowl, of which there were 9 copies. The doll in the crocheted clothes, that is the one that had the most duplicates. There was 29 of those altogether. And then, on the next slide, we have some more handicrafts with this knit cap, of which there were 9 copies. Another stamp in the roses set. Below that, there was a carved knife handle, and there were 18 copies of that one. And then we finished off with a fish stamp, the stylized globe, and one official stamp. And then, as I pointed out earlier in the previous video, got all these post horn stamps. In case you don't know, the post horn series from Norway is the longest continuously running series of stamps by any country ever. It started in 1872 And while it's had a few minor design changes and re-engravings and detail changes over the years, it's basically kept this same design, the oval with the post horn inside and the value in the middle. So as I said, I ended up with 268 total after accounting for all the damaged ones that came damaged or I damaged during the soaking and drying process. And out of the 268, there were 80 face different stamps. Let me go over this with you for just a minute. This is called the Desert Magic drying book. This is, I found it's indispensable. I've only recently bought this. I used to soak stamps by just, first laying the stamps out on a dish towel to get most of the water off. And then I would just layer the stamps between sheets of notebook paper. And it really wasn't an ideal situation, was not the ideal method. I finally broke down and bought one of these, and it makes it immensely easier. This is the small version of the Desert Magic stamp drying book. They have a larger one that's twice as tall. This one suits my purposes fine because it holds about 300 stamps, and I don't soak any more than that at one time. Otherwise it's just too tedious and time consuming, and it'll just turn me off to soaking stamps for the next 10 years. So what this book has is it has 6 sheets of this glossy paper and 6 sheets of this coarse blotting paper. So what you do is you set the damp stamps face down onto the blotting paper, and then the glossy paper will lie against the gum side of the stamps. So ideally all the gum will have been removed during the soaking process, but if there is a slight bit of gum still remaining, it stands a lot less chance of sticking to this glossy sheet. So like I said, there are 6 sheets each, and you can get a total of 12 layers of stamps in. Put a layer of stamps, go to the next page, a layer of stamps. When you're done, set it down on the table, put a Scott catalog on top, leave it there for 30 minutes to an hour, and your stamps come out dry and flat. I hope that gives you a little more clarity on what that Norwegian Kiloware had. Next time I do a video on Kiloware, I'll just devote the whole episode to it so I can give it the proper attention it really needs. So hopefully things are a little bit clearer now about that Norwegian. And speaking of the next time, as I said in the previous video, I got this in the mail yesterday, and this is a packet from the Stamp Farm in Rice Lake, Wisconsin. They're a long-time advertiser in Lynn Stamp News. I've seen their ads for years, and I finally broke down and bought a packet. Here are their 2 ads that I ordered from. One was for a mixture of all different Germany with euro values, 2 ounces for $12, and it doesn't say whether it's on or off paper. And the other one was for Norway, recent on paper, 20 grams, all different, for $6. As you recall, my previous order of Norway was 1.8 ounces, from which I ended up with about 300 stamps to begin with. So at 20 grams, that should provide me with about 214 stamps. Now I'm going to open the package right now just so I can start looking through it and cataloging it before my next unboxing video, and to just give you a preview of what we have here. I'm going to have to grab some scissors. One moment. All right, all set. I'm sure there's nothing there I'm going to cut into. Here is the 20 grams of Norway, and here's the 2 ounces of Germany, which is on paper. And here's a better look at those 2 packets. I'm not going to open them right now. You'll have to come back for the next unboxing video to see that. So that's it for this episode. I'll get to work right away soaking these, and I will post a video on it just as soon as possible. Until then, this is Ted the Talking Stamp Collector, wishing you all happy stamping.